The rain fell softly over the quiet human city, washing the streets in silver light. Most people were asleep, hidden behind warm walls and locked doors. This was a normal night, calm and boring, the kind of night where nothing strange should happen. Inside a small house at the edge of the city lived a human named Daniel. He was an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He worked long hours, came home tired, and spent his nights in silence. Daniel trusted routine, because routine felt safe. The clock on the wall showed late-night hours. Daniel sat alone, reading under a dim lamp. The sound of rain mixed with distant thunder, slow and gentle. Then suddenly, a sound broke the quiet. Knock. Daniel froze. The sound was soft, almost unsure. He looked toward the door, his heart beating faster. No one ever came this late. Not friends, not neighbors, not delivery workers. He waited, listening. The rain continued. Nothing else moved. Then the knock came again, weaker this time. Knock. Daniel stood up slowly. A strange feeling crawled up his spine. It did not feel like danger. It felt like sadness. He checked the small screen, connected to the door camera. The screen showed the empty porch. No person, no shadow, no movement. Only rain falling through the light. Daniel frowned. He thought the system might be broken. He told himself it was nothing. Still, his hand shook as he reached for the door handle. Before he touched it, the knock came again. This time it sounded tired, almost like a plea. Daniel spoke softly, asking who was there. No answer came, only silence and rain. He unlocked the door and opened it just a little. Cold air rushed inside. Rain splashed across the floor. At first, Daniel saw nothing. Then he looked down. A small figure stood at his door. It was no human child. Its skin shimmered faintly, changing colors under the porch light. Large dark eyes looked up at him, filled with fear. The child was shaking, weak, and clearly injured. Daniel forgot how to breathe. Every story he had ever heard about aliens rushed through his mind. Fear, invasion, experiments, war. But this was not a monster. This was a child. The child took a small step forward and collapsed. Daniel caught the body just in time. It felt light, too light. The child made a soft sound, like a broken whisper, a language Daniel had never heard before. For a moment, Daniel stood frozen in the rain, holding an impossible truth in his arms. Then instinct took over. He pulled the child inside and closed the door. The lock clicked loudly, sealing the night outside. He laid the child on his couch. The faint glow from its skin pulsed slowly, like a weak heartbeat. Daniel noticed strange markings along the child's arm, symbols that moved slightly. Blood, dark and shimmering, stained its clothes. Daniel grabbed a towel and gently pressed it against the wound. The child flinched, but did not wake. Daniel spoke softly, even though he did not know why. He told the child it was safe. He told the child it was not alone. Outside, the rain grew heavier. Far above the clouds, something unseen shifted in the sky. As Daniel worked, the child's eyes opened briefly. One hand reached out and touched Daniel's sleeve. The child whispered again, weak and broken. This time, the words sounded almost like a name. Then the eyes closed. Daniel sat back, his mind racing. He did not know who this child was. He did not know where it came from. But deep inside, he knew one thing clearly. Opening that door had changed everything. If you enjoy slow mystery stories like this and want to see where this journey goes, please gently consider subscribing to this channel for more HFY science fiction stories. Outside the house, something watched from far away. Scanners searched quietly, patient and precise. The wrong door had been opened, and the universe had noticed. Morning did not come like a normal morning. Dark clouds still covered the sky, and rain tapped softly against the windows. Daniel had not slept at all. He sat on a chair near the couch, watching the strange child breathe. Each breath was slow and uneven. The faint glow on the child's skin rose and fell, like a weak light fighting the dark. Daniel's house felt different now. The silence was heavier. Every small sound made him look toward the door or the window. He felt like his home was no longer hidden from the world. The child moved slightly. Daniel leaned forward, careful not to scare it. Large dark eyes opened again, more focused this time. They looked around the room, confused and afraid. Daniel raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. He spoke in a calm and gentle voice. He told the child it was safe. He said this was his home. He said no one would hurt it here. The child stared at him. Its eyes reflected the room, the light, and Daniel himself. Then the child made a soft sound. Not a word, but not a cry either. Suddenly, the markings on the child's arm began to glow. Lines of light moved like living symbols. Daniel pulled his hand back in shock. The air felt warm, like a quiet energy filled the room. The child sat up quickly, pain flashing across its face. Daniel stood up too fast, knocking the chair back. For one tense moment, they only stared at each other. Then the child lifted one small hand and touched its own chest. It spoke slowly, carefully. The words were strange, but the tone was clear. It was introducing itself. Daniel did not understand the name. It sounded long and musical. He pointed to himself and said his own name. Daniel. The child repeated it. Badly at first, then better. Daniel. A strange feeling filled his chest. Fear mixed with something warmer. Daniel noticed the child's clothes more clearly now. They were torn but finely made. Not like anything from Earth. There were tiny metal threads woven into the fabric. Symbols marked the collar, the same shapes as the glowing lines on its skin. Daniel slowly reached for his phone and turned on the news. He kept the sound low. The screen showed images of stars, ships, and distant explosions. A reporter spoke about unrest beyond human space, about alien conflicts humans barely understood. The child reacted instantly. Its head snapped toward the screen. Its breathing quickened. The glow on its skin grew brighter. Daniel turned the screen off at once. The child relaxed slightly, but fear remained in its eyes. That was when Daniel understood. This child was not just an alien. It was running from something. The house lights flickered just once. Daniel froze. He checked the power system. Everything looked normal. Still, a cold feeling settled in his stomach. Outside, far away, a soft hum passed through the air. Too quiet to hear clearly. Too smooth to be human. The child stood up unsteadily and walked toward the window. Daniel followed slowly. The child pressed its hand against the glass. The markings on its skin glowed brighter again. For a brief moment, Daniel saw something impossible reflected in the glass. A symbol forming in the air, high above the city. Then it was gone. Daniel stepped back, breathing hard. He realized the truth then, fully and clearly. This child was being searched for. Not by accident. Not by chance. The child turned and looked at him. Fear filled its eyes again, but there was trust there too. It spoke a single word in broken human language. Learned too fast to be natural. Hide. Daniel nodded without thinking. He did not know why he trusted this child, but he did. He closed the curtains, locked every door, and turned off all unnecessary lights. The house fell into shadow. The glow from the child's skin dimmed, as if it understood the need to stay unseen. Daniel sat beside the child again. His heart pounded loudly in his ears. He knew that helping this child could cost him everything. His safety, his freedom, maybe even his life. Outside the city, high above the clouds, silent machines adjusted their search patterns. They had detected a signal, faint but real. Royal energy, hidden in a primitive world. Inside the small human house, Daniel placed himself between the child and the door. He did not fully understand what he was protecting, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. This child was not human, and the universe would soon come knocking again. Far from Earth, beyond human maps and names, a royal ship drifted through damaged space lanes. Its hull was burned, its engines weak, and its lights dimmed to near darkness. Inside that ship stood the alien princess alone. She was no longer dressed like royalty. Her armor was cracked, her cloak torn, and dried blood marked her hands. Not all of the blood was hers. Only hours earlier, her world had been alive. Golden towers, singing skies, and cities that floated like dreams. That world was now silent. The attack had come without warning, not from outsiders, but from within. A betrayal born in the highest council chambers. The princess remembered the alarms, the screams, and the sudden fire in the sky. She had run through the palace halls, with a child in her arms. Guards fell around her one by one. Each death bought her a few more seconds. Each second felt like a lifetime. At the final chamber, she had no choice left. The emergency portal was unstable, forbidden for royal blood. It was designed only as a last hope, a door that opened to randomness. She kissed her child's glowing forehead. She whispered promises she did not know if she could keep. She activated the portal and felt the universe tear open. The child vanished into the light. Gone. Lost to the stars. The princess screamed then, a sound of grief and rage. Moments later, the palace collapsed behind her. She escaped only because others died in her place. Now she stood on the bridge of her ruined ship, staring at the stars. Every system report told the same story. Her fleet was gone. Her allies silent. Her empire fallen. Only one signal remained. A faint royal signature. Weak, unstable, but alive. Her child. The princess clenched her fists. Relief and fear struck her at the same time. The signal was coming from a strange place. A small blue world marked as low importance. A human world. She knew what the galaxy believed about humans. Weak bodies, short lives, divided minds. Civilizations that fought each other more than the stars. Fear filled her chest. If the child had landed among hostile humans, if it had been captured, hurt, or worse, the thought was unbearable. She ordered the ship to change course. The damaged engines protested. Every jump risked total failure. But she did not hesitate. As the ship moved, she felt the weight of everything she had lost. Her family, her people, her crown. She was a princess with no kingdom, a ruler with no army, a mother with only hope. Suddenly, the ship's sensors flashed warnings. Multiple unknown ships appeared at the edge of range. Enemy signatures. The traitors were hunting her too. They had found the royal signal as well. They knew the child was alive, and they wanted it. The princess shut down all non-essential systems. She masked her ship's presence and drifted through debris fields, holding her breath as enemy ships passed close enough to destroy her with one shot. Every moment felt fragile. One mistake would end everything. She moved to a private chamber and activated an ancient device, a recorder meant for royal heirs. Her hands shook as she spoke. She recorded her history, her truth, her love, in case she did not survive, in case the child needed to know who they were. When she finished, she rested her forehead against the cold metal wall. For the first time since the attack, she allowed herself to cry. Tears fell silently, glowing faintly as they touched the floor. She whispered her child's name again and again, as if the stars themselves might carry it forward. The ship jumped once more, barely holding together. Stars stretched into lines, then snapped back into place. Ahead of her, the small blue planet grew larger on the display. Earth. The princess straightened her posture. She wiped away her tears and steadied her breath. Whatever the galaxy believed about humans, whatever waited for her on that world, she would face it, because a mother who has lost everything has nothing left to fear. And she would cross any distance, face any enemy, to reach the child who had knocked on the wrong door. The house remained dark throughout the day. Daniel kept the curtains closed and the lights low. Outside, the city moved as usual, unaware of the secret hidden inside one small home. The child sat quietly on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. Its glow was weaker now, almost invisible. Daniel noticed that when the child was calm, the light faded. When fear returned, the glow grew brighter. Daniel brought water and simple food, unsure what the child could eat. He moved slowly, carefully. He placed the food nearby and stepped back. The child watched him closely, studying every movement. After a long moment, the child picked up the food and tasted it. Its face showed surprise, then relief. It ate slowly, carefully, as if each bite mattered. Daniel let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He sat on the floor, keeping distance. He spoke softly, using simple words. He pointed to objects and named them. Table, light, water. The child listened. It repeated some words badly. Others it learned too quickly, too fast for any normal child. As the hours passed, something changed. Fear slowly turned into trust. The child moved closer to Daniel, not touching, but near, close enough to feel safe. At one point, the child reached out and gently held Daniel's finger. The contact was warm, not strange. Daniel felt a sudden tightness in his chest. This was no soldier, no weapon. This was only a child far from home. Outside, unseen machines adjusted their patterns. Silent drones hovered high above the clouds. Scanning, searching, calculating. Inside the house, Daniel turned on the radio at low volume. Human voices filled the room, calm and normal. The child reacted at first, then relaxed. The sound seemed to comfort it. Suddenly, the child spoke again, clearer this time. One word stood out. Mother. Daniel's heart sank. He looked at the child's face and saw longing there, deep and painful. He shook his head slowly and spoke gently. He said he did not know where the mother was. He said the child was safe for now. The child lowered its head. The glow dimmed almost completely. Daniel understood then that the child believed it had been abandoned. A sharp sound cut through the moment. A low hum, distant but real. Daniel froze. The child's head snapped up, eyes wide with fear. The markings on its arm began to glow again, brighter than before. The air felt heavy, charged. Daniel moved quickly. He covered the child's arm with a blanket and whispered for it to stay calm. The hum grew louder, then faded. Daniel waited, heart pounding. Minutes passed. Nothing happened, but he knew it was only a matter of time. Later that night, headlights passed slowly outside the house. Not police, not normal cars. Too quiet, too smooth. Daniel pulled the child into a back room and closed the door. A voice echoed faintly through the air. Not sound, but vibration. Alien technology scanning human structures, looking for a royal signature. The child trembled. Daniel placed himself in front of it without thinking. He spread his arms slightly, as if his body could block the universe. The scan passed over the house, paused, then moved on. Daniel collapsed into a chair, shaking. The child looked at him with wide eyes. Something changed in that look. Not just trust, respect. Far above Earth, alien commanders watched their displays. They saw no threat from humans, only weak structures and simple lives. They assumed fear would rule them. They were wrong. In a small dark house, a single human had chosen protection over safety, kindness over fear. Without weapons, without power, the child rested its head against Daniel's side. A small sound escaped its lips. Not a word, but a feeling. Comfort. At that moment, far away in orbit, the alien princess watched the same scans. She saw the royal signal fade and stabilize. Hidden, protected. Confusion filled her mind. Humans were not supposed to act this way. Yet somehow, against all expectations, a human had become a shield, and the universe was beginning to learn. Night returned, heavier than before. The clouds pressed low over the city, hiding the stars. Daniel felt it in his bones. Something was coming. The child slept on the couch, breathing softly. Its glow was almost gone now. Only a faint shimmer remained, like an ember under ash. Daniel sat near the window, watching shadows move across the street. Every passing sound felt too loud. Every light felt like a signal. Then the air changed. Not with noise, but with pressure. The walls vibrated slightly, like the house itself was holding its breath. A voice entered the room without sound, not through ears, but through the mind. Calm, cold, and powerful. Human resident, you are in possession of royal alien property. Surrender the asset immediately. Daniel stood slowly. His hand shook, but his voice did not. He spoke out loud, even though he knew the voice could hear his thoughts. He said the child was not property. He said it was a person. There was a pause. Then the voice returned, sharper now. Your species lacks authority. Noncompliance will result in termination. The lights in the house flickered. Outside, the sky glowed faintly, unnatural and silent. Daniel knew they were watching. Not just his house, the entire street. The child woke with a gasp. Fear rushed back into its eyes. The markings on its skin lit up brighter than ever. Daniel moved between the child and the window. He raised his voice, louder now, stronger. He told the unseen forces that the child was under his protection. He said they would have to go through him first. For the first time, the voice hesitated. Scans intensified. Data streams crossed alien screens in orbit. They saw a single human unarmed. No armor, no shields. Only a fragile body and a stubborn will. Alien commanders expected panic. expected surrender. Instead, they saw defiance. The voice returned, colder. You do not understand the scale of what you oppose. Empires move at our command. Daniel swallowed hard. He thought of the child's small hand holding his finger, of the fear in its eyes, of the word it had learned, mother. He answered simply, then you should understand why I will not move. Outside, the street lights burst one by one. The neighborhood fell into darkness. Windows shattered silently as pressure waves passed through the air. The child cried out. Daniel knelt beside it, shielding it with his body. He whispered that everything would be okay, even though he did not know if that was true. In orbit, weapon systems aligned. One command could erase the house, the street, the city. Then something unexpected happened. Human signals began to spike. Cameras, phones, and emergency channels activated. Daniel had triggered a broadcast. His voice, shaking but clear, spread across the city. Across networks the aliens did not control. He told the truth. He told humans there was a child in danger. Not an invader. Not a weapon. A child. He said humans protect children. That was who they were. That was who they chose to be. The alien commanders watched in confusion. More human signals joined. Voices rose in anger, fear, and unity. This was not expected. In the dark house, the child looked up at Daniel. Its fear softened into something else. Hope. High above, the alien princess watched the broadcast reach her damaged ship. She heard the human's words. She saw him stand alone against fleets. Her breath caught. For the first time since her world fell, she felt something close to hope. Below, Daniel stayed where he was, between the child and the universe. A single human, standing against empires. The night sky above the city began to change. Clouds moved in strange patterns, pulled apart by invisible forces. A deep shadow formed high above, silent and vast. Daniel felt it before he saw it. The air grew heavy, thick with energy. The child lifted its head suddenly, eyes wide. The faint glow on its skin returned, stronger than ever. Mother. The word came out clear this time. Daniel followed the child's gaze to the sky. A massive shape hovered far above the clouds, hidden but undeniable. It was not the hostile fleet from before. This presence felt different, controlled, focused, restrained. A beam of soft light touched the empty street outside Daniel's house. Not burning, not violent. More like a doorway opening. From the light, a figure appeared. Tall, graceful, wrapped in damaged royal armor. Her skin shimmered with the same living light as the child's, but stronger, older. Her eyes carried exhaustion, fear, and power all at once. The alien princess had arrived. Daniel stepped back instinctively, placing himself in front of the child again. His heart raced. He did not know if this was an enemy or an ally. He only knew he would not move. The princess stopped at the doorway. She did not force her way inside. She waited. Her gaze moved past Daniel and landed on the child. Her breath caught. For a moment, the universe seemed to stop. My child. Her voice trembled, breaking through layers of strength. The child ran forward, ignoring pain, ignoring fear. The princess dropped to her knees, armor scraping the floor. They embraced, light flaring softly around them. A reunion born from loss and survival. Daniel watched in silence. He saw tears fall from the princess's eyes, glowing as they touched the ground. He saw her hands tremble as she held the child, checking for injuries, whispering apologies, promises, love. Slowly, the princess looked up at Daniel. Her expression shifted from relief to confusion, then to something deeper. You are the human, she said quietly. Daniel nodded. He did not speak. He did not know what to say. The princess rose slowly and did something no human expected. She removed her weapon and placed it on the floor. Then she lowered her head and knelt, a royal gesture older than empires. You protected what the galaxy hunts, she said. You stood alone when fleets failed. You bled without power, without command. Daniel felt his legs weaken. No one had ever looked at him like that before. Not as a weak human, but as an equal. I only protected a child, Daniel said simply. The princess studied him closely. She noticed the bruises on his arms, the exhaustion in his eyes, the fear he never allowed to win. That choice has consequences, she said. My enemies will not forget this world. Daniel looked at the child, now safe in its mother's arms. Then he looked back at the princess. Then we will face them. High above, alien commanders watched the scene unfold. They saw their princess kneel before a human. They saw her deactivate weapons. They saw something impossible. The princess turned toward the sky and spoke with authority restored. Earth is under my protection. Any who harm this world answer to me. Silence followed. Then ships began to withdraw, one by one. In the small house, the princess faced Daniel again. You showed my child mercy, she said. The galaxy will remember this moment. Daniel exhaled slowly. The danger was not gone, but something had changed forever. Outside, the city lights flickered back to life. Above, the stars seemed closer than before. A human and a princess stood together, and the universe watched, learning something new. The ships vanished into the dark sky one by one. No explosions, no final threats. Only silence, deep and heavy, as if the universe itself was thinking. Morning finally came. Soft sunlight touched the quiet street. People stepped outside their homes, confused but unharmed. They whispered about strange lights, power loss, and voices in the air. No one fully understood what had almost happened. Inside the small house, everything felt calm for the first time. The alien princess stood near the window, watching Earth wake up. Her child sat beside Daniel, holding his hand tightly, as if afraid to let go. The princess turned and studied the human home. Its walls were simple, its furniture worn, yet it had survived where palaces had fallen. You live very small, she said softly. Daniel smiled tiredly. Small is enough, he replied. The child looked up at him, eyes full of emotion too big for such a small body. It spoke slowly, choosing words carefully. Stay. The princess felt her chest tighten. She knelt beside her child again. She explained gently that they must return, that their people needed them, that the galaxy was still dangerous. The child listened, then looked at Daniel once more. It reached forward and pressed its glowing forehead against his arm. A symbol formed briefly, then faded. A mark of memory, a bond that distance could not erase. High above Earth, the princess's fleet reorganized. Messages spread faster than light. Not warnings, not commands. Stories. They spoke of a human who stood unarmed before empires, of a species called weak that chose protection over survival, of a door opened not by power, but by compassion. Across distant worlds, alien leaders listened. Some laughed, some doubted, some felt uneasy, because legends do not begin with strength. They begin with choice. Before leaving, the princess faced Daniel one last time. She offered technology, wealth, protection beyond measure. Daniel shook his head. He said Earth would find its own way. The princess bowed her head in respect. Then she spoke words that echoed far beyond the house. Humans are no longer insignificant. They are watched. They are remembered. The child hugged Daniel tightly, then stepped back beside its mother. Together, they walked into the soft light, waiting outside. The street was empty again. The house was quiet, but it no longer felt small. Days passed, then weeks. Human scientists detected changes in deep space. Alien ships avoided Earth's borders. Trade routes bent away in caution, not fear. Stories spread among humans too. Half believed, half denied. About a night when one person mattered. Late one evening, Daniel sat alone once more. Rain began to fall gently, just like before. Then came a sound. Soft, familiar. A knock. Daniel froze, then smiled. Some doors, once opened, never truly close,